All right, folks, welcome aboard. And as I mentioned, Hank Sheinkopf will join us momentarily. The president, and we're going to hear quite a long soundbite from the president's remark made today in Martha's Vineyard. He made a statement. He did not take any questions. The statement concerned the circumstances surrounding the death in Missouri, and also of Mr. Brown, and also the reaction since then, and the police response and the riots in the streets, etc. He also talked about Iraq, though, and he said that the humanitarian effort in Iraq has been very successful. It may not have to go on much longer, and Americans should be very proud of what was accomplished. However, he also went back to his old mission statement as far as the other aspect of the military action, and said, we'll protect our people, our embassies. Again, leaving open ISIS and the caliphate and the march towards Baghdad. He really did not address that, and that's a little disturbing. All right, I want you to watch this soundbite from the president from earlier today at Martha's Vineyard. Addresses the situation as it took place out in Missouri. And unlike what he said about Trayvon Martin, he could be my son, and what he said about the Cambridge police, he was a little different this time. So let's go to Hank in a second, but first let's both watch this.
Of course, it's important to remember how this started. We lost a young man, Michael Brown, in heartbreaking and tragic circumstances. He was 18 years old. His family will never hold Michael in their arms again. And when something like this happens, the local authorities, including the police, have a responsibility to be open and transparent about how they are investigating that death and how they are protecting the people in their communities. There is never an excuse for violence against police or for those who would use this tragedy as a cover for vandalism or looting. There's also no excuse for police to use excessive force against peaceful protests or to throw protesters in jail for lawfully exercising their First Amendment rights. And here in the United States of America, police should not be bullying or arresting journalists who are just trying to do their jobs.
All right, so the president, as mentioned, told you it was a long cut, but he covered everything regarding the incident. Joining us now, Hank Sheinkopf, as promised, Democratic political consultant, Newsmax contributor, and president of Sheinkopf Communications. Always great to see you, my friend.
It is a pleasure to be here.
All right, I can't wait for this. It's like, okay, what's he going to say now? So the president talking about to me, he struck a good balance. He didn't say, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon kind of speech. He didn't say the cops acted stupidly, as he did with Cambridge kind of speech.
Right. He
basically said, you throw bricks at cops, you can't loot, you can't riot, and, let's find out what happened.
I think the president did the right thing. Restoring rule of law is very important. Getting an investigation going, having a grand jury come up with a finding is very important. Calming things down. The leader of the United States of America has the ability to do that. Whatever he does is news and creates impact.
Now, Al Sharpton doesn't necessarily have the ability to do that, and he's there, or was there, I'm sure he still is. I had the mayor of Ferguson on yesterday. We made some news when he said that the black leaders in his town want Sharpton to go home because he's turning this into they're afraid he's going to turn into a national spectacle, which I think it already has happened.
Well, it is a national spectacle, and certainly Reverend Sharpton will do what he does best, which is he is an electronic magnet for great bombastic activities, and he will cause that to occur. The best thing is probably for him to leave town, come back to New York, where he can do the same bombastic activities here, but not upset at a really electric situation that could be a disaster.
What concerns me is his ability. I hope he could keep doing that MSNBC show, because what are his adoring fans going to do if he's sidetracked and not on TV for them?
No, you got to give him a lot of credit. He has gone through major scandals, tax problems, ratting for the FBI, ratting on the mafia. He's done all these things. He slimmed down.
Ready's to want to brawl. He slimmed down.
He slimmed down. He's now a national news figure, and he's drawn to these confrontations. The best thing is to calm this down. Being serious.
Yeah.
Calm it down. Let the rule of law take over, and let the district attorney or the county authorities do what they have to do.
Well, it's now in the hands of the FBI, the Justice Department.
They'll do what they're going to do.
Let me ask you: the media frenzy, and you're a Democratic consultant, and you know how the left operates.
I know how the right operates too.
Okay. Again. Black men in America are under attack. Now, forget the fact that in St. Louis, 70 blacks have been, mostly blacks, or mostly all black, young adults, children, have been murdered. But this incident, which we don't know what happened, proves that black men are under attack again. I mean, that's what the media is saying. That's what the left is saying. Come on.
Well, look, there are significant problems with an entire now generation and a half of African American men who have limited possibilities in the job market, significant numbers thereof, and who are finding their way into prisons. That's a serious problem. Let's not. And there is an income gap. Hold on. That is hard to get past. That being said, why does the media do this? They're addicted to race like crack. They can't help themselves. That's what creates news: gossip, entertainment, violence. Okay, but not facts. Look at who's doing news today: gossip, entertainment, and not facts. It's very hard to get facts. And so when you don't have facts, you have to create tabloid entertainment. Why? Because that's what creates viewership and listenership and watchership.
And that's what's happening. Is it
and
because
readership,
it's because of cable? Is that new since cable, or has that always been the case?
Look, gossip columns are a pretty old thing in this country, started by Walter Winchell
But they
really
used
in
to
the
be
20s.
gossip columns under the heading gossip columns.
But
Now you're
gossip,
saying it's
gossip
news.
has now become news.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, look, Robin Williams died, right? Terrible. It's going on and on. Why? Celebrity, tragedy. It's got everything. You know, as I used to say, I don't want to defame his memory, but taking him out of the picture for a second. It's got Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan. It's got all four pieces, and that will continue. We overlook the humanity of it all while going through the gossip phase.
Yeah. All right, very interesting. All right, let's talk a little bit about Iraq here and Hillary and Syria and the whole thing. Sure. Hillary trying to, and we've talked about how is she going to separate herself. You've been of the opinion, and historically accurate, that foreign policy usually doesn't play that big a part in elections. But sure. The world is blowing up. You know, it's a mess. And Hillary was Secretary of State for a significant portion of what led to the blow up. Mm-hmm. So she's now trying to say, well, you know, you read what she said, and I told, you know, I didn't want, we should have been more involved in Syria. The Obama doctrine, just don't screw up, isn't good enough. That kind of thing. White House was furious. They said Hillary was on board for all this. Yesterday they were going to hug on Martha's Vineyard at Vernon Jordan's party. Excellent. I don't know if they did or not. Point is she going about this the right way, and is she going to be able to separate herself when push comes to shove from the world blowing up?
Correct. Here's the difference. All political campaigns are fought in the present tense. There is no past tense in politics. There is no future tense. Everything that goes on at the moment. Question becomes, will the charge that she didn't do something 20 years before have value, or 10 years before, or 7 years before, have value at the time the campaign goes on? Probably not. Probably not. Because he's there and she's not while all this is happening. Mm-hmm. She can make the argument that she stood up for human rights because she took on the president. It's very simple. Pretty good strategy, actually.
All right, we'll see how that works out. Now, Wall Street Journal piece out talking about the U.S.-Israel relations. Sure. And we're talking about an angry Obama has instructed the future Israeli request for weaponry, including ammunition, be approved at the White House, the Journal reported. The president considers Netanyahu to be out of control and not to be trusted. Israel officials characterize the president and his team as naive. The administration believes that the Israelis have not been doing enough to limit civilian deaths in Gaza. Tension between Obama and Netanyahu is at the personal level, very personal, according to an Israeli official. I mean, there's 2.5 years left, I understand that, but how bad is this? How dangerous is this? Is this unprecedented?
It's not unprecedented. I mean, the Clinton White House had problems with Benjamin Netanyahu. The problem here, I think, is that people expect Jews to be all the way on the left, because that's the Jews they're used to seeing. Like, you know, if it's a choice between abortion or Israel, yes, we must have abortion. You know, I explained to somebody last week, if there's no Israel, you can have all the abortions you want, because you'll probably be dead, because they'll be coming across the shores, because they did once before, it was called 9/11. That being said, the real issue is that they don't like right-wing Jews because they don't know what to do with them. Because the Jews, they used to think, is like, kumbaya, let's sit down. Yes, please beat me with a stick. I like it, and I understand why
you're talking about the
doing
administration?
it.
Obama in particular?
And Democrats generally.
Okay.
They like it. That's why, you know, people are becoming more fiercely Democrat as they're being told Israel is atrocious and Jews are bad. That's part of what they do. The new data is pretty clear about that. That being said, this administration does not do well with centrist right governments. Israel is no exception. The question here is what the president of the United States forgets is that the only country to have taken on the Soviets directly in combat, air combat, during the Cold War was the state of Israel. And it was over Syria in 1982, and we know how that turned out. 100 MiGs gone, not one Israeli flyer out of the way. The Americans are having their interests defended by Israel. This guy doesn't like the fact, he doesn't like Bibi Netanyahu, and he doesn't like the state of Israel, and he doesn't like the fact that he can't tell them what to do. Simple.
Very interesting as well. But you don't see this affecting the next administration, do you?
Listen,
if it's Hillary, is it going to?
George Marshall, who was a great American, the military chief of staff during the Second World War and Secretary of State, warned Harry Truman that if he recognized the state of Israel, that there would be constant wars in the region forever. Part of that's true, part of it's not. The State Department hasn't gotten past that. The generalized bureaucracy and the foreign policy plus the national security arena hasn't gotten past that. Tough luck, guys.
All right, Wall Street, New York Times interview, Obama with Thomas Friedman, talking about how he's not concerned about the survival of Israel because they're militarily strong.
Right.
But then he goes on to you know, in the words of Jonathan Tobin, basically, you know, talk about in a very condescending way. I think the question really is, how does Israel survive? Can you create a state of Israel that maintains its democratic and civic traditions? In other words, will Jews behave like Jews in surviving Israel? And it's kind of, I take offense to that.
It's kind of idiotic. You know why the British are so upset with the state of Israel? Because a bunch of Jews with no money, no support, and a few weapons kicked them kicked the great British Empire out of Mandate Palestine.
Right.
They did that. No one else did it. What he's upset about is this group of people, all the big 7 million, right, are kicking him around for not being supportive of democratic causes throughout the world. He doesn't like it. Life's tough.
He also said about the Palestinians, you have to recognize they have legitimate claims, and this is their land and neighborhood as well.
Let me help him through that. He is a Christian. He should go back and read the Bible. The Bible's pretty clear. Any week you want to look, go back to the beginning. It says it very clearly who the land belongs to. But besides that, the Arabs had a choice in 1948. There was a partition. They chose not to take it. Instead, they attacked this little country. That little country beat them. They did it again and again and again. They keep getting beaten. Here, the 600,000 Jews, the 800,000 Jews that were in North African countries under Islamic control were expelled, their property taken, thrown in the streets. Where's the equity?
Absolutely. Hank, great to see
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
my brother.
Thank you. Always great to talk to you. All right, folks. Hank Sheinkopf, and always enjoy having him on. Now, before we go, we want your opinion. There's a new poll. That's right. Should the children of illegals who have entered this country be deported or educated? Go to newsmax.com/poll to vote.